Alternative gonna give you what you asking for. Naturally yours, but educate the most. Hottest in the game, here to fix you on. Come learn this business, welcome to Twinness. Alternative gonna give you what you asking for. Naturally yours, but educate the most. Hottest in the game, here to put you on. Come learn this business, welcome to Twinness. But glad you're tuning in on the latest tip. Alternative salon, keep your head lit. And naturally yours got your custom fit. Teacher Ben Tanika, keep your wig drip. TNT, double up the impact, call it Twinness. Hottest hairstylist in the business. Keeping topics fresh for your listening. Black owned woman independent. Like fishes hold it down on your imaging. Whether professional or apprenticeship. Showing culture love just to get you right. Black is beautiful, always shining bright. Alternative gonna give you what you asking for. Naturally yours, but educate the most. Hottest in the game, here to put you on. Come learn this business, welcome to Twinness. Alternative gonna give you what you asking for. Naturally yours, but educate the most. Hottest in the game, here to put you on. Come learn this business, welcome to Twinness.
Welcome, you guys.
How are you?
I am good. How are you?
I am good. And I just want to say hello to everyone that's watching right now. This is Tisha and Tanika. This is the Twinness. This is Tisha, Alternatives Beauty Studio.
And I am Tanika. I am naturally yours.
We want to thank you guys for coming on today. First, let me say, I hope that everybody's safe because I know we're getting Hurricane Henry here. Well, not here in Delaware, but I know Tennessee got it really bad and New York is getting it really bad. So I hope everybody's safe and okay. We weren't even sure if we were going to be able to come to you guys live because Pennsylvania, I was supposed to work today, but I canceled my clients today and I'm going to just do them on my day off. It started raining there like 10 o'clock at night and it was pretty bad. I ended up leaving at 4:30 this morning. I was already on the road to come home to Delaware. How's it out there in Alabama, Nikki?
Nice and sunny.
Nice and sunny. Yeah, and here in Delaware, it's nice and sunny. Mm-hmm. So I'm just like, it's sunny, it's hot. I almost regret canceling my clients.
Hey, it happens. Better safe than sorry.
All right. So let's just get right into it. Talk to me, Nikki.
Have you had anything this week? Any hair things? Any inboxing this week on your end?
Not really. No.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
This week was a lot of getting the college students ready to go back.
Okay.
So, and next week is the same.
I know we're getting into our topic. I just had one client who hadn't been to a professional in over 10 years. Her hair was a mess and she doesn't understand why, but that's what happens when you don't see a professional in 10 years.
Yes, I did have one. I'm telling you, sometimes people need to stop calling themselves locticians when they really are not and stop, I can't even say the other, but a lady came in today. She asked for a consultation. So like my locks are thin. She went to someone she wanted them thicker. And so they put the wicking. They wicked her in the front and she could see that they were much larger than her originals. So She wanted to know if I could correct that. I said, I don't correct other people's work. But I looked at it and it's nothing that I could have done because the person who put them in, she don't want to take responsibility for what she did. She's telling the client, just keep palm rolling it until it gets skinny. That's not the way that works. No. That's not the way that works. I said, if she did the wrapping method, she would have had more control on how fat that lock was going to be. But because she used a pre-made lock that was too heavy for oh my God. Then she asked me if I can color it gray because she had a streak of gray, one lock, and the girl covered it. And she likes this. And I said, no, I wouldn't do that anyways. That's too damaging to go from a dark all the way to a white. You can't, that's steps. But anyway, we're not talking about here tonight, but that was the one thing tonight was, I don't like to fix other people's work. Whoever made the mistake should be the one to fix it, and what she had was not repairable. They would have needed to come out, those false locks, they needed to come out and then be redone in a different way.
All right. So we're talking tonight about foster care to fabulous, and that is the name. Was the name of our book that we were writing, Foster Care to Fabulous. I'm going to say it is the name of the book that we're writing because you never know what's in the future for us. And so this segment is repairing the mental health. I mean, still dealing with those issues of what happened in the past. I know we get a lot of inboxes and feedback from people that are adults now who were in the foster care system. We were in New York foster care system. And, so there have been some issues that we've had to deal with and still deal with in life. And I know that sometimes you have clients, I have clients that have some traumatizing stories of being in foster care. And I'm gonna just tell this story real quick before we go into it. Y'all know that I have a child that's special needs. And, when you go into foster care, they're taken by DHR. And so I deal with the public a lot as a nurse. And, to have a threat of DHR searching your home, taking your children, and because I deal with special needs adults, I get to read charts and learn about the background. And so that's not something that you want to deal with. Being typical and having these issues is one thing. Being special is a whole nother thing. But we're going to talk about our traumas, not necessarily the traumas, but how we overcame some of those things or some of the things that we hear people still talk about even years after.
It's not even only what they deal with or what we hear years after. I don't know why I'm getting a feedback. I don't know if you're hearing the feedback from me.
Is your phone down?
Yeah, it's down. I forgot what I was going to say. I lost my train of thought. Yes, we hear a lot of stories, and sometimes you don't even know what a person is going through. Like, I don't tell my story. My clients will just sit in my chair and just Tuesday, for example, I had a client, never done her before. Tuesdays is my day off. I went in because my phone just kept ringing. I said, I must have to go into work. So 2:00 in the afternoon, Tanika, now, if I'm going to go to work, I'm going to go early. But 2:00 in the afternoon, I find myself in my car going from Delaware to Pennsylvania to take care of 3 clients. And the one, she must have needed me. It must have been a God calling, because I don't work on Tuesday. And she called me twice. And then I just was like, I'm just going to go in, and never did it before. She was just visiting the Pocono area. I probably won't see her again. She already told me she won't see me until next year. She just dumped. And she doesn't know me. I don't know her. I never said anything about me being in care. And she just was telling me her story. And, we might have our story. And I don't know. I don't want to say which one is worse, but I don't know which one is worse. Is it worse that our parents died when we were young? We died. They died at 12, 13, or having that living parent abuse you. And so which one is worse, and it's not a comparison thing, but she just unloaded. She said, my mother was very abusive. I have the marks and scars on my body to prove it. And her mother is still living, and she's in denial, and she will not admit what she has done to her daughter and the damage that she has caused to her daughter. She won't admit it. And it also made me think about the different paths we take as far as career-wise, because she went on to become like a therapist to try and find out what was going on with her mother. Why would she be that way? So I was just like, interesting that you took that path, but it's understood why you took that path.
I think I've always loved psychology. Since I was in high school, I always wanted to go into psychology, and it was to understand myself and to understand others. And for that young lady, I would think that something was mentally wrong with the mother. she might have been unstable. And I know that I read this stuff all the time in charts and stuff where the parent is unstable and they're not aware, and they might have needed help themselves. So, yeah, it's not a comparison of which is which, but how do you come out of that? And sometimes the trauma just follows you and you can't find a way out. I mean, we all have our way of dealing with things, some in a positive way and some not so positive. Some turn to drugs and alcohol. Some change their life for the better. And I don't never judge, because you don't know what got them to that place. You don't know what the circumstances were that got them to where they were,
And that's the thing, when you come to the salon, I know, the hairstylist is usually their safe
Therapist.
haven. Yeah,
Mhm.
we are, we're their listeners, and it's a judgment-free zone. And I like that it is a judgment-free zone. And she said, I don't care if you're judging me. I said, I'm not judging you. I said,
Mhm.
I'm not judging you at all. And then I let her know, well, both my parents died, this and the other. But she just dumped and unloaded. And she was like, I'm telling you things that I cannot even tell my friends, because she just felt that it was a safe place. And again, I feel like I was needed to go to work. And it's, 2 hours out of my way, 2 hours drive
Mhm.
there. But it took me 4 hours to get home that evening, because they were doing construction and all that.
And it's funny that you use the term judgment, because she felt comfortable talking to you and not other people, because other people would judge her.
Yeah.
When you don't understand, or if you don't take the time to understand, it's always the thing of, and it's really upsetting and disheartening that adults is always, well, you need to get over it, or that happened years ago. At some point, yes, you do need to get over it. And she did try to get over it by educating herself, and now she's trying to help the public, but she still has her own demons that she's fighting, and we all do. Y'all know I'm big on mental health, so she might need to seek some help in counseling herself, as well as her occupation, which is helping others.
Again, this is Tisha McDonald, Alternatives Beauty Studio. We are talking about from foster care to fabulous, overcoming the mental trauma. And this is Tanika Gillard. She is naturally yours. And you know what? I forgot to say thank you, Alex Anderson, for your intro.
Thank you, Alex. And he's foster care as well. Music is his outlet, and then he has his ministry. So thank you, Alex.
And we've talked about the subject before. Nikki, how have you overcome your trauma?
I don't think I've overcome it fully, but I delve myself into work, and I think that that's what stabilizes me, because I stay busy. I think even when we were going through this stuff, I always believed in education. I would delve myself into books. I love to read. And I'm a quiet person. I like to be in solitude. I like to be by myself. I I get out and have friends and stuff, but I'm more of an introvert than an extrovert, to be honest. I talk when I have to. I hang out, and I'm very friendly when I'm out, very sarcastic. But for the most part, I like to be by myself, and I delve myself into learning and studying, even people, to the point where people are like, well, what are you learning now?
I can agree, but let's take that a bit deeper. Do you think by delving into your work that you're putting a Band-Aid as opposed to dealing with?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's an avoidance, but I don't think that I really deal with that. Someone at my job asked me, am I very public with being a foster child? Yeah, I'm public with it. It is what it is. You never know who you're helping by telling your story. So I'm very public with it. I might not go into deep specifics about it, but I am public about it. And like I said, there was a situation, and it really just got me upset about DHR, and having them to investigate something that wasn't even called for. I'm like, no, no. So it can give you flashbacks, but you find a way to deal constructively, which mine was going to school, educating, and continuing to educate. And I think that I deal more now with the special needs community, because they're underserved and not understood. even some of the workers that I deal with, you work with special needs, but you still don't understand them or their parents. And you'll say ignorant stuff, and you don't realize that you're talking to a parent of a special needs, and you don't understand really all of the stuff that goes into that. But that's not the topic today. Yes, I delve into studies. I like my quiet time. I like to be by myself. You know, how do you deal?
Well, like you, well, I feel like I pretty much it's the same. I'm always doing something. Like right now I'm in another class for another year, and you can always find me learning. But you know what? You know what? To be honest, because I was always the dumb twin.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was always the dumb twin, and things was just beyond my learning. Like, you know, I still feel that today. It's still traumatic to me today. I can almost cry about that
Me
today.
too. Me too.
Um, I am crying about it today
Uh-huh.
because I'm always the dumb twin. I'm not smart enough. And I think because I'm not smart enough, I keep taking courses, not to prove that I'm smart, because I'm really just proving it to myself. But I delve into stuff because I want to know and I want to learn. But like even sometimes I'm not really computer literate, and I'm trying to do much better at that. And what I'm learning now is computer stuff. But I always have to ask, and I'm not ashamed to ask young
Me neither.
people or my
Mhm.
college students to help me with this, help me with that. If you can show me, that's better. But my kids, they don't have the time for me. And it's like, Mom, we don't have time to keep showing you over and over, which brings me back to I'm not smart enough to learn this, or I'm just not. So I just keep delving into it. And so thank you, Renee. I'm doing much better than I was before. But it's still even hard for me to send an email, and people will say, EJ, my grandson just walked in. Huh? Okay, in a little bit. I have to finish this, okay? Sorry, guys. um, I forgot what I was going to say. Yeah, so I still just try and learn now today. And part of that is because of I'm the dumb twin, and so I'm doing much better. That's what I was saying. I'm doing much better now, but it's still sometimes challenging for me to send out an email, and
Mhm.
people will be like,
Mhm.
email's been out forever. You either
Mhm.
catch up or get left behind. But I'm open to learning. And that's what makes me different. I'm open to learning. I will never not stop learning.
Exactly. And you said something, and so Bishop Jakes, I love him, and he has said, the old saying was sticks and stones will break your bones, but words will never hurt. And to still deal
Words
with
last.
the words last. Even when you're going through the foster care system, hearing those things, of hearing from friends and family, and things like that, it stays with you. So words do hurt, and it takes time. I mean, it's easier to strip someone with words than to build them up. You could break them down, and they could never be repaired. Whereas if you build them up, they can be strong,
But I think that's also why they're attracted to us, even not knowing our story, but the way they just unload, because I'm not going to judge you, and I'm going
Mhm.
to encourage you, and I'm going to lift you up. And,
Mhm.
I think she felt that, especially as she was leaving, because she
Mhm.
said a lot of things. And of course, I can't go into all of that now.
Mhm.
But she said a lot of things to me, and it is a lot of healing that she really needs to do. But she's scared to be alone, and sometimes when you're desperate, you'll do anything to not be alone. But,
Yeah.
you have to give those words of encouragement. And I even had to make a notation of her name and keep in contact with her,
Okay.
because, I had to make a notation, keep in contact with her. Every now and again, it just makes sense for you to just reach out to somebody who may
Mhm.
be in trouble.
And sometimes you don't even know that they're in trouble. I know I sent out a text checking on just a friend, and they was like, "Thank you for checking on me. I have COVID." I was like, "Okay," because sometimes people just drop on me, and I'm like, I don't feel like I'm like nobody checks on me.
I say the same
Why
thing,
should
Tanika.
I
I say
check
the
on
same
them?
thing.
And then I'm like, okay. And then so like that young lady, she was like, "Thank you for checking on me. I have COVID and everything like that." So you just never know. And I always believe that there's always a lesson or a reason why you do what you do. Y'all are watching Twinness. We are talking about foster care to fabulous, overcoming the mental challenges do you really heal? How do you overcome? How do you compensate maybe? My name is Tanika Gillard. I am naturally yours. We have Tisha McDonald. She is alternatives. And, schooling is one thing, like I said. And for me, you asked the question about which is better or worse. I've always felt like, and it's going to sound bad to some, it was a blessing that our parents died. I felt like I don't know where I would be if they were still alive, and I'm not going to delve into that today, but I think that it was a blessing because who knows how we would have turned out otherwise.
I agree. I believe that, it was a blessing. And people might find that to be harsh. You're talking to a funeral director here. You're talking to a nurse there. But my grandmother, she pulled us together and she raised us. We wouldn't be as strong as we are today if she hadn't given us the foundation of going to church. Now, she was very strict and we weren't allowed to do lots of things that other normal kids were able to do. We weren't allowed to go to the movies. We weren't allowed to go to the malls. We weren't allowed to do after school activities. We weren't allowed to listen to secular music. We weren't allowed to do so many things. But look at where we are today. We're not. I think she was trying to keep us from being in the same path of our parents. And for
Exactly.
a while, if I could just delve into that just a little bit, my mom, my grandmother, my foster mom, rest in peace. She didn't want us telling people how or our parents died. It was embarrassing for her. But as we got older, she said, start telling your story, start telling your story. But as we were younger, she didn't want us to tell the story. It wasn't a good story to tell. And
it's still not a good story to tell.
it's not. No, it's not.
Mhm.
It's not. But as she got older, she started to say, just tell your
Yeah,
story.
she did.
Because truth be told, my father was a heroin addict and he died of AIDS. Nobody wanted to hear that back in the day. If he died of AIDS, then do I have it? But it's totally unrelated. And then my mother, she was on crack and she was beaten to death and left on the street for dead. And so my grandmother, my foster mom, my mom, that's who I call out. You'll hear me say all three, orphan, didn't want us telling that story.
But I think it's very important for us to address that. And I think that, like you said, she was trying to shield us and protect us because our birth mother, had so many children at such a young age, and that's not something that she wanted for us. She wanted us to do whatever it was in life that we were going to do, whether it was beauty or whether it was education. She wanted us to succeed and not have all these babies while we were young. She wanted us to be strong and independent, which we are. She had a lot of goals for us. And so I believe that if our birth parents were still living, who knows? We don't touch drugs. I'm going to put that out there like that because I always feel like, if something happens and they say, oh, we found this or that or the other in her car, it's wrong. It was planted because that's something that we've always avoided. However, our brothers took a different route. And so that was their way of dealing and coping because they had their own story. They have their own story. They have what they had to deal with. We had what we had to deal with. So everybody has a different way of coping, different strategies. And there's no judgment on our end. We still struggle on our ends. You always been the pretty twin, so we always struggle with certain things, and but we're still blessed on the other end as well to be able to come out and to be able to share our story and to not be embarrassed about what has happened because we don't know who we're helping. We always get these inboxes at the end of the show, or once people know what the topic is, they're like, oh, I'm going to join, I'm going to watch that live, or whatever. And it's really a blessing to be a blessing to someone else.
And we want to say thank you for watching on the replays and thank you for sharing as well. What do you think? And there was other points, but what do you think about therapy? For me personally, therapy didn't work for me personally. And some would say, well, you're just not finding the right therapist. Well, how many therapists am I going to go through to find the right one? So I find by telling my story and talking to my friends, that is my therapy personally, because I feel like I have grown and I don't feel like I need to be sitting on the couch necessarily to feel better about myself. And like I said, I like to continue to do my educations and stuff like that, and continue to push myself and learn. And by me even doing that, it shows my kids that you're never too old to learn, and you always got to be open to learning.
I had a client who went to RN school at 50. So no, you're never too old to learn. But everyone knows I love mental health. I believe in therapy. I don't believe that it has to be lifelong. You could go for segments. If you having issues right now, go. And then you healed up and then you have other issues that come up later, go. With me, in my case, and I think it depends. It does depend on the therapist. Sometimes you want a black, like I like my black female therapist. I've had 2 black female therapists. They work for me because they understand me. I can't say that I could relate to a white female or a white male therapist because I don't think they would understand where I'm coming from. At the same time, I was in therapy after Rain was born because that was a lot. I told my doctor, hey, dope me up. I need something to get through. I was in therapy while I was in school, getting my bachelor's degree because I had so much weight on me at the house, pressure. And even still, I still see my therapist. So I believe that if you need the help, seek out the help because there's help available. I would never say don't seek the help. And sometimes you might need something like I needed something to get me over the hump. I asked for an antidepressant myself, and it might have been because I'm in the medical, but I also know that I had a small son and a daughter to care for, and I had to be able to cope. And so I asked for something for myself because I know what I needed. So I don't judge people who's on antidepressants or anything like that. And I think that my degree in psychology, taking the classes, it's not the degree, it's getting the education behind and seeing the serotonin levels and the dopamine levels and learning the different chemicals of the brain and how they work. I think that really is, again, I love education, and that really helped me out a lot, learning about the brain and the different chemicals of the brain. Because sometimes when we're watching the news and they're a mass murderer, we're like, well, what happened? What part of the brain was affected? What was going on with that patient? Because that's too deep. But I think it's important to learn and understand those things, understand the why behind. Don't just judge just what you see. You don't know the why behind. Tisha, on a lighter note, yes, Joelle. On a lighter note, we were talking about the 70-year-old.
Oh,
I'm not going to judge the way she dressed. If she's 70 and she thinks she's fine, dress the way you want, boo. It's none of my business, and it's none of yours either. Let her be who she want to be. I'm just saying. So anyway.
Again, you're watching Twin This is Tisha and Tanika, Alternatives and Naturally Yours. We are talking about from foster care to fabulous. How do we overcome our trauma? What steps have we taken? What steps are we continuing to take to continue to be positive and move forward? That's what we're talking about tonight. That's what we are talking about this evening. And we want to say thank you guys for joining us and giving the comments and the feedback. Thank you guys.
Thank you, guys. Now, T, I know that you believe in giving back to your foster kids. So talk about how your business really gives back to foster care.
Well, since the Alternatives opened in 2009, we've always given the foster children half off of the services, and battered women, they get their hair done for free, as well as their children. Their services are completely free. And I make sure that it's a private setting. So I close up all the windows. It looks like the salon is closed, but actually we're in there working. No one would ever know that there's battered women and their children in my salon, and no one will know that I'm doing foster kids because that's not an announcement I'm going to make. So.
Why? But you had taken in foster kids for some years as well. What compelled you to do that?
Mom, our foster mom, we weren't adopted, but our foster mom, she took 5 of us in. She didn't have to take us all 5 in. She didn't want us to be split up. And so I started taking in, my husband and I started taking in sibling groups. The funny thing about taking in foster kids at a younger age, what were we, 25, 26, 27? they always expected to be older couples to come in to take in fosters, and that was part of the problem because they only wanted older married couples back in the day. Now you could be young, you could be it was a stigma
Single.
against gay.
Mhm.
So now you could be single, but back then, so for Walter and I to take kids at that age, 27, 28, they were like, okay. And so it made the agency like, yeah, we're going to send the kids because they're going to have fun. And we never treated our foster kids as foster kids. We always, if we went on vacation, the kids came with us, or we would ask permission for the kids to come with us. Sometimes the parents, the natural parents, and we're going off topic, would be upset or jealous or say, no, you can't. I remember we were going to Disney World. We had three kids with us. It was two girls and a boy, and we wanted to take them, and the mother said no. And so, can you imagine? It's Tanika. I think it was no. Can you imagine us coming home and my daughter saying, "Oh, I had fun doing this, that, and the other," and now the foster kids, they can't experience that, like you know.
Mhm.
So, and from that, we already know that I adopted my two boys from foster care. And at the same time, I had two little girls whose mother wanted us to adopt them. Um, and honestly, I would have wanted to adopt them, but I did not want to do an open adoption. I did not want to go back and forth to New York City after moving to Pennsylvania for visitation and stuff like that. So I said no.
Okay, okay. So you gave back to that foster care, and you still continue to give back. And why are battered women important to you?
Well, first of all, if I could take in foster kids now, I would. The
Okay.
husband said that was it.
Hmm.
So, battered women, because our mother was beaten to death. My sister has her story, and there's many women out there that have their story with abusive relationships. And it's no judgment. I just, when your mother is beaten to death and left on the street for dead, and you get a call saying that she's in a coma, you know, that's kind of therapy for me to actually give back to these battered women, because you don't know their stories. And a lot of them start from childhood trauma. A lot of them start from maybe being in the foster care system. A lot of them start from maybe being molested as children and then thinking they don't have any other way to go. So that's why I give back to the battered woman.
We have a question, and I'm not sure. Was it hard for you to say no, and did it pull on your heart? Was what hard to say no?
I think I know what Trisha's asking. Was it hard for
Okay.
me to say no to taking the foster girls? And did it pull on my heart? I love those girls. I love those girls. Um, it was it was hard for me to say no because all right, let me give you a little background information with those girls specifically. Love those girls. They came to me, um, they stayed for, let's say, 10 months, and then they were given back to their mom, and then they were put back in care. So that's what made it, very, close to my heart. They were put back in care, and I can't say the name. So Stephanie, let's say Stephanie calls and says, Auntie, we're back in care. Can you get us? And I said, I'm right on it, Stephanie. I will call the agency and get you back. And like it took 2 days or so, and they were put back with us. And then the mother, she mental illness, she kind of set the house on fire by accident, praying, chanting, but she was not there all the way, and she became a double amputee. So she lost her arm and her leg, and she required a lot of care. And she's not a legal immigrant, so they were going to ship her back to her country. And but she has a sister here that lives in the States, and her sister really didn't want to be bothered, and the sister didn't want to be bothered with her kids either. Um, but because she was going to get a stipend to take care of the girls, then the sister stepped forward. And so they were allowing us to still visit the girls. And then my girls started to revert. One just started pooping in the closet, in the shoe boxes. And the agency was like, is there any way? Is there? So yes, they tugged on me. And then the aunt who took them in said, no more visitations for us.
Wow.
So that tugged on my heart. That was really a hard one, but I knew that I could not go back and forth to New York City when I was in the process of moving here. And we were in the process of adopting. Matter of fact, we couldn't even move to Pennsylvania until the boys were fully adopted. We could not take them across state lines until they were fully adopted. So we would have had to go through that whole process. And she was not going to let us adopt her kids. Let's be clear. But I was not about to go back and forth to New York City.
Okay.
Either.
Thank you for sharing that story on foster care. Y'all are watching, what are we on, Tisha? The Twinness with Tisha McDonald and Tanika Gillard. I was just still stuck on the story. I do remember the girls, but I didn't know all of that about the girls. So yeah. So and thank you guys for joining us. Thank you for
my sister didn't even know about the backstory, and this is so many years later.
Yes,
but that's
yes.
what being confidential is about.
Yeah, and these girls are probably grown now. Yeah. And we don't know, you wouldn't know how they've been affected. So, you know, going back and forth and in and out of foster care. And I just feel bad when I read stories about my special needs that were in foster care. It always bothers me because they can't defend themselves. Some of them are nonverbal, especially my girls, you know, that still developed, even though their brain is not developed, you know, their body's still mature. And that really bothers me to be in foster care and be a special needs individual. But, you know, healing.
So that's how I deal with my trauma, is by giving back, is by studying, is by, staying aware and really not really trying not to be, I'm going to say trying not to be judgmental, because sometimes in the back of your mind, you are kind of judging, but then you got to remember, get out of that. Don't judge, So dealing with the trauma. This is how we deal with the trauma. Go ahead, Nikki.
I don't have anything. I don't have anything else. I think that, you know, you need to find a constructive way to deal with the trauma, whether it's therapy, whether it's exercise, because I know some people like to exercise, run, jog, whatever you got to do. You know, finding a confidant, someone that you can trust, even if it's not a therapist, that's not going to use your story behind you. I think sometimes we talk to people and think that they're going to hold you dear, but then once they get angry with you or upset, they just you release it to everybody. And I think that we just need to find a safe space. And then, like you said, giving back, helping out where we can, doing what we can do. We're not superheroes, but I think we all can help in our own small way for someone else. You know, we donate on our end for special needs, the ICU units, just to let the parents know that we understand. It might be just a small token, but we are here, we care, we know that you're struggling. And I think that sometimes just knowing that goes a long way. I think that telling your story, it might be different from ours, of course, but you sharing with others, it heals you and it helps them. So, and just being forthcoming. And I know that we still struggle in different areas. And sometimes you might think that you're healed in some spots until it resurfaces, and you never know when it's going to resurface. So,
you always know what mine resurfaces back as. You always know.
Yes.
So two things before we end. One, I'm going to touch on what you just said about, you think you're telling people and it's in a safe space. And then when you get into an argument, they want to throw it in your face. That's why you can't let people take your power. This is why Tanika and I tell our story, because there's nothing that you're going to say to me, even in an argument, that's going to make me feel away, because I already told my story. I'm telling my story, and that is my story. Therefore, there's nothing you're going to say is going to hurt me. And see, this is the part where it becomes my aggressiveness, because when we were foster kids, I was always the aggressor. I was always the fighter. I was suspended so many times from school, but my mouth, because there's nothing you're going to say that's going to really get under my skin unless, and the only reason why I have this thing about me with not being smart is because it came from my mother. And that's the only reason. And this is my foster mother. This is who I'm talking about. She did the best with us, but I was always the dumb twin in her eyes. And so that's where that hurt comes in. But nobody on the street can tell me nothing about nothing. So I wanted to say that. So yes, when you say you tell people and they want to throw it in your face, and this is why I adopted my boys, and they know that they're adopted. Nobody's going to be able to say anything to them like, oh, that's why you were adopted. oh, well, at least my parents knew that they wanted me. So you're not going to try and throw nothing up in my kids' faces, because they're going to come back, hard.
hmm And I think that with the aggressive side, I think that that's more now, it's your protective side. I think it's you wanting to protect your family because you always protected me, and now you have your own family. So it's just that you are a protector, not necessarily an aggressor at this stage. You know what I
True.
mean? Yeah. So I think it's more of a protector, and I think that I appreciate the aggression because it taught me to be more aggressive when it comes to my daughter and the things that I need for her. So I'm really a passive. If anybody knows me, I have a lot of mouth, but I'm really passive. And so I take that aggression from my sister to stand up for myself and for my family. I'm still very passive. Y'all could get over on me because I'm not that smart when it comes to, I'm book smart, but I am not that smart when it comes to street sense. And Tisha got the street sense. I have the book sense. That's how I feel about it. And I keep people around me that have street sense and some book sense because I'm a little gullible, and that's just the real. But that aggression, I think, is more of protection, protecting your family and protecting your space more than it is aggression.
We have a comment here. We have two that I want to pull up. Thank you for sharing. I am a foster care.
And now I want to be a foster parent.
Foster care? Okay. And now I want to be a foster parent. Okay. Two, but I think I would retire first so I can make sure I have all my time to spend with the children. I hope that you're asking advice. Because if you're not, I'm still going to give it. I want to be a foster parent, but I think I should retire. You don't have to retire first in order to become a foster parent. Waiting to retire is just delaying. You know how many kids are in foster care right now with this pandemic, and there's so many kids that need a place to go, and they're in these group homes, and no, they really need care. That's why I said, if I could, I would take in foster kids now, but we just moved to Delaware. My husband is like, yep, nope, not doing all of that again. 8 years was enough for him. I wanted to give back by doing like big brother, big sister, but that's not happening. But I'm just saying, you don't have to wait until you're retired. And trust me, you're going to want time without the kids. So, like when they go to school and stuff like that. But I understand your passion and I understand where you're coming from, but you don't have to wait. And you're going to have to take the classes anyway. So if you want to just get the ball rolling with the process and finding out the information that you're going to need to do to become a foster parent, I would say to start there. Because, I don't know how old you are, but how long is it going to take before you retire? And
I agree. I agree with you, T.
You
Yeah.
might be too old. You might be like, yeah, no. And we've had older foster parents. And let me tell you, and that's what I think I said that in the beginning, but maybe you weren't on when I said it. People were surprised that my husband and I were young foster parents, and the foster agency appreciated that we were young foster parents. If you don't know me, you don't know that I crochet. So I crochet awesome, amazing character blankets. And the foster agency would think that it was an older person crocheting them, but no, it's me. I'm young and I'm crocheting these blankets, and they are fabulous, phenomenal. But the younger you are, I think the better it is. And but maybe as you get older, you become more patient. But patient could equal passive. So.
Yeah. They'll get over on you. I agree with Tisha. I think that there's no reason to wait. What are you putting it off for? These kids need you today. You don't know who you'll be helping today. Whereas if you wait, they are being hurt today while you kind of come up with a plan or when you want to do it. It might be too late for that child that you are supposed to be protecting today.
Yeah, that touched me right there, Nikki. That touched me right there.
Yeah. Like Tisha said, you could take the classes and get certified or whatever it is that they require in your state. Even I know some places they let you do weekend care. So, or 3-month care, 3 months at a time. So find out all the information you need to find out in your state, wherever you are? Do they have weekend care? Do they have 3-month care, 6-month care? You know, nobody's saying that you have to take the long road. And then you have teenagers. You look fairly young from the picture. They might have foster kids that are teenagers that need your guidance during this time. But they also could be draining, because, you know, this generation, their mouth and stuff like that, you have to deal with that. So you have to have both the patience and the understanding, but at the same time, you can't be the pushover parent as well. When you foster care, you still responsible for that life, and making sure that they're doing what they're supposed to do. So know what you can tolerate and what you can't, what age range, you know. But I say don't wait on it. I mean, what are you waiting for? While you're waiting, they're being molested, they're being abused, they're being neglected. You know, what are you waiting for? You know?
Nikki, we are so off topic now, but I thank you for the questions. And, you know, that's what we do. If you have a question, we're going to sit here and answer it, even if it's off topic, because we were talking about overcoming trauma. But we will talk about, I'm just going to pull up some more comments, Nikki.
Okay.
Give them confidence to know that they, no matter what, you and your husband love them. Yes, we love our boys. And you know what? Our family accepts them. Now, I do have a grandmother who's so old school, she will not accept my sons. She will not. And guess what? She hasn't seen them in 13 years. How about that? So, because when they're mine, they're mine. And you're not going to say any different, and you're not going to make them feel any different. Again, this is where the mama bear comes out. So, yes, I might be your granddaughter by blood, but these are my babies. All right. We have so many comments, Tanika.
I see them.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And Angelique, I hope I'm saying it right. I appreciate your question. I appreciate you just commenting in there. Hey, Jay, how are you? Yes, good, stable homes are very much needed. I'm going to tell you another story, Angelique. We were in an older home. And this is not you. This is not you. I'm just letting you know. Tanika and I were in an older home, and because we're twins, the agency did not separate us. So we were the only two there. And we were in a house full of boys. And parents, they're older, like I said. Their kids were older. The son was a molester. But the agency's not going to believe us because we're just new coming in there. So, but why would you place two girls in a house full of boys? So again, like Tanika's saying, why wait? You don't know what the situation is going on. You know, we were in a group home and they told us we did not belong there. We didn't look like we belonged there. We didn't look like we belonged there because we didn't belong there. But being there taught us how to defend ourselves, because we were with my foster mom. And like I said, she was a very religious woman. We were in church all the time, choir, Sunday school, all of this. And we did not belong there. And we stood out. And, you know, they made sure that we knew that we better watch our back. We were there for maybe 2 days and then we were out. Adam asked something. Okay, here we go. Can childhood trauma in excess cause yes, for sure. It can cause long-term mental health issues. That's what we're talking about now. And ours might sound minor on the surface, but they're serious. They're deep-rooted issues. And like my brothers really have some serious scars. You know, I have a brother who did 17 years in a federal prison. He got out 3 years later. He's back in right now. I just spoke to him yesterday. But he had some serious long-term scars. So yes.
Because you don't know what each person, and this goes back to Angelique, you don't know what each person is going through and how it's going to affect them later on in the future. And for Adam, yes, that's why some people like personality disorders, yes. And that's why people turn to drugs and alcohol, because that's for them sometimes is their safe space. I know when COVID happened and they were closing down the churches and leaving the alcohol stores open, that was therapy for some people. It was their medicine for some people. If they got off the alcohol, you don't know where they would end up. That's true, Adam. You know, that's why I took psychology. And that was one of my majors. But yes, it can be traumatizing, but you're going to have to find the person, not you, will need to find a way to cope. Yes, it impacts behavior, choices, mindset, because if Tisha stayed in that mindset of I'm not smart, who knows where she would be, but she's a successful businesswoman. So you can't say I'm not smart. And then on the other hand, be in business for as many years as you've been and developing products and developing hair shows and doing different things, mentoring minors. You can't say I'm not smart and then do all of that other stuff. So the mindset, I agree, Jay, the mindset is there. And Adam, whoever needs to find a way, I'm not saying that it's you, but has to find a way, an outlet, a therapy or medication even to help them. And I know sometimes people don't like medicine because of the stipulation, but people don't have to know that you're on that medicine. People didn't know that I was on medicine. I was happy as can be. I can tell you. That was my happy medicine when I was taking it with my daughter. But you need to know yourself. I think that people need to be self-aware and do that. Is it true that you have both products of the environment and other influences? So there's a lot of things that influence your behavior and your lifestyle. There's a lot of things that are influence, some things are learned, but you could change learned behavior. You could change the learned behavior. So we can't use excuses of that's how I was raised or that's how I was taught. You can change that. But sometimes your environment, yes, it's a mindset. And then if it's your environment, get out of the environment. And I know it might not be easy for some, but just like prisoners, when they come out, they go back to the same environment and that puts them right back in jail. So if you get the change your mindset, change the environment, get the help that you need, find a safe space, all of those things will work to help you.
I just want to say, because Jay is on here, Jay, we need to have you on as a guest. Jay is a social worker and she works in the foster care field, actually. So, Jay, I don't know your complete title, but I know that you're in social work and I know that you work for foster agency. So, we need to have you on one day when we do another From Foster Care to Fabulous segment, because
Yes.
she's very knowledgeable. And let me tell you something, Jay, I'm just going to put her back up there. She's a childhood friend. She knows what we've been through. She knows a lot of what we've been through, and me specifically. Jay has helped me. If you guys don't know, she has helped me get my license, my nail license. She she went to school for beauty as well, and I was her little guinea pig with the pink curls and the finger waves. But she would be great to be on our show, Tanika. We have to have Jay on. Jay, if you're still on listening, we need to reach out to you and have you on one day when we're doing another From Foster Care to Fabulous segment, because we're going to continue to come to you guys with this because as we talk about it, y'all are asking questions and it releases for us as well. Adam, I know my sister touched on a lot of what you were asking. I'm going to go back through your questions and I'm going to answer as well in my way. Like I said, my brother has long-term mental issues, but he found out that he has bipolar issues. But he didn't find out until he was in jail. My mother, she must have had something as well. And my sister said something like, like my parents were both on drugs. That would be a learned behavior if we followed with that. However, my sister and I said, we will never touch a drug. If you show me a weed bag today, I would not know that that's weed. I would not. Wherein my brothers, they like, what? What do you mean? You ain't Tisha, you lying. And let me tell you something else. My stepfather died smoking weed. He had his weed and it was laced with something. He didn't know it, had a heart attack, and they found it right next to him on the couch. And that was Christmas Eve. So when we talk about even holidays, we're not big on the holidays. Each of my parents died a year apart from each other. So my stepfather, I loved him. I loved him better than my father. I didn't care for my father. Let me just be honest. I loved him. This was, and he died Christmas Eve. A year later, my mother died. And a year later after that, then my father died of heroin. And that's the way it went, a year each. And so the holidays was never a good time for us. My other brother, he did the intro to our show. He lost 2 children in a fire on 4th of July. 4th of July is not a good time for us. So It's a lot. We've gone through a lot, but we were talking about overcoming the trauma. We were talking about overcoming the trauma. So, I am currently dealing. Okay, wait, let me just. You want to see pictures of me in pink curls and finger waves, Renee? You so silly. Jay said yes, absolutely. She'll be on. We'll talk to you right after the show. I'm currently dealing with parent alienation at the moment. Are you alienating your parent or your parents alienating you?
And if that's the case, either way it goes, focus on you and do what you got to do to get to a better place within yourself. So we don't blame the parent because you could take responsibility for yourself. I don't know how old you are, but do what you got to do. Show up, show out, be a success, and move on. You
That's the
know,
best way to get revenge, actually, because like Tanika said, oh, your ex-partner is keeping what? Mm, well, we can't get into all of that.
no,
We cannot
no.
touch that. Um, mm. So that's what the court systems are for. You know, you go down to the court, you say this, your mate, your ex-partner is keeping you away. That's what visitation is for. I'm big about, don't be like, oh, I don't want to get the courts involved. Get the courts involved. That's what they're there for. Unless you have something to hide, then you don't want to get the courts involved. But if you want to see your child bad enough, you will take your butt right down to that court and get your visitation going, you know.
Yeah, we're not going to deal with all of those issues, but you can make get yourself on track and seek the help that you need or whoever else needs the help that they need.
Because children should have both parents, you know, especially if you want to be involved in your child's life. It's different if you didn't want to be involved, but parents should be both parents. They need both parents. You know, I was joking one time, Adam, I'm sorry. And I'm going to let y'all go because we've been on here for an hour, guys. I said to my daughter, I said, you're going to be one parent less. How would you feel about being one parent less? And then I said the same thing to my son. And he said, I need both my parents. And so children need both their parents. And it's important for you to go down to that courthouse and get your visitation in order.
Okay, and Jay said for Adam, parent alienation, family court has a process for that. So go to court, like Tisha said, go to court. Thank you,
All right,
Trish, as
guys,
well.
we want to say thank you so much. Oh, okay. You can reach us at, okay, so we have the
Just
Twin
at Twinness. That's where we'll be.
at
Twinness is your
Twinness.
best page to get us.
Yes. Okay. This is Tisha McDonald, Alternatives Beauty Studio. And this is Tanika Tanika Gillard of Naturally Yours. We are the Twinness. We want to say thank you so much for joining us tonight. We went an hour, guys. Wasn't intended, but anytime we do a Foster Care to Fabulous segment, we always end up going way over time. We enjoy your participation and we hope that you enjoyed the show. We hope that we were helpful to you. Please share this. It's important to get the message out. We want to help as many foster kids or former foster children as possible. But we also are for beauty. We also are for whatever else you guys need. Like I said, Tanika, what you laughing about? Go ahead, Tanika, you talk. I'm talking.
Oh, no, that's it. I just want to say thank you. That's all.
As you know, Tanika's a nurse. She's a psychologist. So we talk about different topics every Sunday, the same time, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 5 p.m. Central Standard Time. We're here every Sunday. We just started back last week. We took a little break, but we're back. So this week we talked about From Foster Care to Fabulous. Next week, it'll probably be a beauty show. So we want to say thank you and good night. See you next Sunday. And we will post on Wednesday what our topic is about. Talk to you guys later. Thank you so much.